You ever watch a man with a badge try to break someone not with bullets or handcuffs, but with doubt, ego, and the weight of a system that always assumes you don't belong? Yeah, that happened. And the person he picked? Not some kid he thought he could scare. Not a woman who'd cry and comply, but a combat-hardened Navy veteran with enough discipline to destroy him, without even raising her voice. Her name's Kenya Monroe, and this is the story of how a small-town cop tried to put her in her place, and ended up losing his own. It was a sticky September afternoon in a South Carolina suburb called Maple Falls, the kind of neighborhood where porch swings creak like secrets, and folks wave while checking if your tags are expired. Kenya had just returned home, after nearly a decade. She wasn't in uniform, wasn't carrying medals or flaunting rank, just cargo pants, a simple gray tee, and an old duffel bag worn thin by sand and salt water. But you could feel it, the way she walked, the stillness in her hands, the way her gaze held too long, too steady. She didn't come home broken. She came home built different. The thing about combat is, it teaches you the difference between noise and danger. And Kenya? She could smell danger in a man's posture long before he spoke a word. She passed the corner store, still had the busted freezer, the old barber shop, same sign, same rust. Kids shot hoops on cracked concrete, talking trash like they were getting scouted by the NBA. But none of them knew the woman walking past had led covert teams through Kandahar and Fallujah, had survived ambushes in dead silence, had buried friends and carried guilt heavier than body armor. And still, there she was. Home. She didn't come back to prove anything. Didn't need closure. Just wanted a walk. To breathe. To feel pavement that didn't explode under her feet. That's when the cruiser slowed. You know the type. New wash, old bias. Siren off, but the vibe blaring. Officer Callahan, white, mid-40s, regulation haircut, badge hanging heavy on a chest that never saw real battle. He rolled down his window like it was a declaration of authority. "Excuse me, ma'am." He said it like ma'am was a warning. Kenya stopped. Not startled, just still. "You live around here?" She met his gaze. "I used to." He squinted. "Mind telling me where you're headed?" Didn't know that was required to walk. Now, here's the thing. That's the moment right there. The shift. The fork in the road where a man decides whether to be a protector or a problem. Brett chose problem. "We've had some break-ins lately," he said. Kenya tilted her head. "You see me breaking into something?" He didn't answer, just parked the cruiser, got out slow like he was bracing for something. "Let me see some ID." Kenya reached into her back pocket, no rush, pulled out her military ID and held it up. Didn't hand it over, didn't blink. He took it anyway, flipped it in his hand. Navy SEALs. He smirked. "That's cute," he said. She didn't flinch. Didn't rise to it. Because here's what folks don't understand about SEALs. They don't posture. They don't puff up. They let the other guy write the check his ego can't cash. "You expect me to believe you're a SEAL?" he scoffed. Kenya replied, "You can run it." Now people were watching. An older woman stepped out of her yard, arms crossed. A teenager pulled out their phone. Another guy across the street folded his arms. This wasn't just a traffic stop anymore. It was a scene. And Brett? He wasn't performing well. "You know what?" he snapped. "Turn around. Hands behind your back." "For what?" Kenya asked. "Failure to comply," he growled. But before he could reach her wrist, she moved. Fast, smooth, precise. She didn't hit him, didn't flip him. Just stepped aside, redirected his hand like a leaf brushing off a windshield. He stumbled. And the crowd? They noticed. A woman across the street laughed under her breath. The phone caught it all. But Brett's pride was bleeding. And pride's a dangerous thing when it's wounded in public. He lunged again. This time, Kenya caught his wrist, twisted it just enough to bend him forward, and in less than a second, Officer Callahan was locked up in his own body. Arms bent, legs unsteady, breath loud. Kenya didn't apply force. She didn't need to. She released him, stepped back, stood straight. He spun around, red-faced, shaking. Before he could speak, another cruiser pulled up. Enter Captain Teresa Mullins. Black, early 50s, clean lines, clean eyes. Got out slow, took one look at the scene, and knew she had walked into fire. "Officer Callahan," she said, voice sharp. "What's going on?" She resisted, grabbed my wrist. Aggressive. he stammered. Mullins didn't answer, just looked at Kenya. Then, the ID in Callahan's hand. She read it. Her eyes flicked, her jaw tightened. Lieutenant Commander Kenya Monroe, Mullins said out loud, like a verdict. Callahan went still. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Mullins turned to him. You're relieved, immediately. And just like that, the man who thought he ran the block got benched on his own turf. But that was just the beginning. By the next morning, the footage had gone viral. Local news, then national. Hashtag Kenya Monroe trended on X. Some people called her a hero. Some said she escalated it. Others said if she weren't military, she'd have been cuffed or worse. The mayor held a press conference. Awkward. Said there'd be a full internal review. The police union released a statement defending Callahan's record and service. Veterans groups clapped back hard. Respect isn't optional, one wrote. She didn't ask to be saluted, just not profiled. Talk shows ran split screens. Left side, the moment she sidestepped him. Right side, his face twisted in shock. Back in Maple Falls, Kenya couldn't even go for groceries without being recognized. Some people thanked her. Others side-eyed her. A white neighbor told her she should have just cooperated. She didn't reply, but her silence said plenty. She was invited on Good Morning America. She declined. She got calls from the Pentagon, from retired SEALs, from people who never believed a black woman could be one until that video broke their illusions. But while the world debated, Kenya stayed quiet, until the hearing. It was a closed-door internal review, but the leaks flowed like broken pipes. Callahan came with a lawyer, a union rep, and a trembling hand. He claimed confusion, stress, unclear ID. Kenya brought no lawyer, just a statement, 5 pages, single-spaced, no adjectives, no exaggeration, only facts. At the end, the board asked, Lieutenant Monroe, do you wish to file a formal complaint? She paused, and here came the twist no one expected. Because Kenya had been in another kind of war once, a quieter one. Before she was SEAL, before medals and ops and discipline, she was 16. Walked home late from tutoring, stopped by a cop for matching the description. Face down, knees on pavement, no phone, no voice. That night changed her. She didn't vow revenge. She vowed clarity. In the SEALs, she learned pain was a tool, that endurance was strategy, that some victories come without fanfare, only silence. So now, when they asked her to strike back, she said, I don't need to punish him. The world already did. Gasps, tears. One juror whispered, she just dismantled him twice. But that grace, it had a cost. The cop who defended her publicly, Sergeant Rafael Diaz, faced backlash. He was moved to night shift. Neighbors called him a traitor. Someone slashed his tires. And Kenya? She was offered interviews, book deals, even a consultant role for a streaming series. She said no to all of it. But what she couldn't say no to was the flood of letters. Young girls, veterans, mothers. Even one from a white teen who wrote, until I saw your video, I didn't think cops could be wrong. And still, the threats came too. Emails, DMs. Someone mailed her a noose made of fishing line. She didn't cry, didn't post, just forwarded it to her contact at Homeland Security, and went back to her garden. 3 days later, Captain Mullins stopped by. Off duty. No badge, just iced tea and a silence that felt earned. You okay? Kenya shrugged. Define okay. Mullins chuckled. Fair. They sat for a while. Then Mullins said, You didn't press charges. You didn't go public. Why? Kenya answered, Because people forget headlines, but they don't forget watching a man get flipped in front of his own badge. They don't forget the look on his face. Then she looked at Mullins. But I do wonder, did it change anything? Or did I just become the next story in a long line of stories that don't fix the system? Mullins didn't speak, because that question wasn't for her. It was for us. So now I'm asking you, was Kenya right to let him walk? Or should she have pushed harder, made an example, burned the whole damn system down? Let us know in the comments. Because sometimes the real fight isn't the one you win in court, it's the one you win by choosing how you stand. And when you don't need to swing to prove you're the strongest one in the room.